On October 21, 1978, 20-year-old Australian pilot Frederick Valentich prepared for a routine evening flight that would later become one of the most perplexing cases in aviation history. The journey from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne to King Island was considered uncomplicated and was frequently flown by private pilots. The weather forecast indicated stable conditions with clear visibility, light winds, and no significant meteorological disturbances across the Bass Strait. Frederick Valentich was operating a single-engine Cessna aircraft that had successfully passed its pre-flight inspection. There were no reported mechanical issues, and fuel levels were sufficient for the planned route at approximately 6:19 p.m. Frederick departed Moorabbin Airport and headed south toward open water, expecting a smooth flight and an on-time arrival. That arrival never occurred. Frederick's background as a pilot has been a central focus in discussions surrounding his disappearance. He held a private pilot license and had logged roughly 150 hours of flight time. Although licensed, he was still considered relatively inexperienced by professional standards. His ambition was to become a commercial pilot, yet his progress toward that goal had been difficult. He had failed the commercial pilot examination on multiple occasions and had received formal warnings for aviation infractions. These included unauthorized entry into controlled airspace and flying into cloud cover without proper clearance. Nonetheless, those close to Frederick described him as determined, resilient, and deeply committed to aviation. Family members later emphasized that Frederick showed no signs of emotional instability or distress in the days leading up to the flight. He spoke openly about his future plans and remained optimistic about advancing his career. There was no evidence suggesting suicidal intent or deliberate disappearance. During the early stages of the flight, radio communications between Frederick and Melbourne Flight Service were routine. He reported his altitude, position, and estimated arrival time without incident. Nothing in these early transmissions suggested concern or confusion. At approximately 6:58 p.m., Frederick made an unexpected call to air traffic control. He reported that an aircraft was flying near him. Controllers initially assumed it was conventional traffic and requested further details. Frederick responded that the object appeared metallic and shiny, with a green light that he stated that it was moving at high speed and circling above his aircraft. He further reported that it seemed to hover momentarily before accelerating away and then returning. As the exchange continued, Frederick's tone became increasingly tense. He expressed uncertainty about the object's behavior and stated that it did not resemble any aircraft he was familiar with. Air traffic control checked radar systems and found no record of another aircraft in the vicinity. Frederick then made a statement that would later define the case. "It's not an aircraft." Moments later, a strange metallic sound dominated the radio transmission for approximately 17 seconds. The noise did not resemble standard radio interference or engine malfunction. It sounded mechanical, grinding, and rhythmic. Following the sound, the transmission abruptly ceased. All subsequent attempts to contact Frederick were unsuccessful. This marked the final confirmed communication from his aircraft. Search and rescue operations were initiated almost immediately. Aircraft and naval vessels were deployed to scan the Bass Strait for signs of wreckage, oil slicks, or debris. The search continued for several days and covered a vast area. Despite the extensive effort, no confirmed wreckage of Frederick's aircraft was recovered. A small piece of material believed to be from an aircraft was later found, but investigators could not definitively link it to his Cessna. With no physical evidence, the search was eventually suspended. Frederick Valentich was officially declared presumed dead. One of the most troubling aspects of the case is the disappearance of the original audio recording of the final radio transmission. While an official transcript remains available, the audio itself is no longer publicly accessible. This loss has limited further analysis and fueled speculation. Individuals who claim to have heard the recording described Frederick's voice as genuinely frightened. They emphasized that his tone suggested real distress rather than fabrication. The metallic sound at the end of the transmission has never been conclusively explained. Over the decades, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the disappearance. The most widely accepted explanation is spatial disorientation. Flying over open water at dusk can severely impair a pilot's perception. With limited visual references, a pilot may misinterpret stars, planetary reflections, or even the lights of their own aircraft as external objects. Some aviation experts suggest Frederick may have been flying upside down without realizing it, leading him to mistake reflections or lights for another object. This could explain both his confusion and his escalating anxiety. Another significant factor is Frederick's known interest in unidentified flying objects. He reportedly followed UFO reports closely and believed extraterrestrial life existed. His father later stated that Frederick claimed to have seen a UFO prior to his disappearance. Skeptics argue that this belief may have influenced how Frederick interpreted what he saw in the sky, especially under stressful conditions. Expectation and fear may have shaped his perception of the situation. However, additional witness reports complicate these explanations. On the same evening, several individuals in southern Australia and Tasmania reported seeing unusual lights in the sky. Some described green or white objects moving rapidly or hovering over the Bass Strait. A photograph taken that night allegedly shows a strange object in the sky near the area of Frederick's disappearance. While the authenticity and interpretation of the image remain disputed, it continues to be cited in discussions of the case. Another controversial theory proposes that Frederick attempted to stage a UFO encounter as a hoax. According to this idea, he may have intended to draw attention to the phenomenon but lost control of the aircraft in the process. This theory is widely criticized due to the lack of supporting evidence. There is no indication that Frederick planned such an event, nor is there proof that he possessed the capability to carry it out safely. Questions have also been raised regarding Frederick's stated reason for the flight. Conflicting accounts exist about why he was traveling to King Island. Some suggest he planned to meet friends, while others claim he intended to pick up passengers, and one at King Island Airport reported expecting him. Additionally, Frederick never contacted King Island Airport to announce his arrival, which would have been standard procedure. This omission has fueled speculation that King Island may not have been his true destination. More than 4 decades later, the disappearance of Frederick Valentich remains unresolved. No definitive cause has been established, and no conclusive evidence has emerged. The case continues to be studied by aviation experts, psychologists, and researchers of unexplained phenomena. Each theory offers partial explanations, but none fully account for every detail. What remains undisputed is the sequence of events. A young pilot departed on a clear evening. He reported encountering something he could not identify. His final transmission conveyed fear and confusion, and then he vanished without a trace. Whether the truth lies in human error, psychological influence, a tragic accident, or an encounter with something unknown may never be determined. The skies over the Bass Strait remain silent, and the mystery of Frederick Valentich endures.